defenders, I think, it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
Just like the big man Ian Wright just said there, people deluded, I'm back again. As we know, it's transfer season. I believe yesterday, actually, the window officially opened. We all know there's going to be a bunch of silly rumors. 99.9% of these rumors for all clubs of all footballers really amounts to nothing. But if nothing more, it provides a talking point. So let's see what's concerning the football club I love, and I'm sure a lot of you love out here. Shout out to the fans of other clubs. But we all know Arsenal's the best in the land and the sea. I don't care about these trophies and these things. We got the streets. But anyways, we've been linked with Diamande of Sporting Lisbon. We was linked with him at his previous club. Since he signed for Sporting Lisbon, we've seen across the games in the Europa League against us, quite a decent centre-back. Clearly better than Rob Holding. Respectfully to Rob Holding, and he didn't deserve that stray. You're a nice guy and all of that, but if we're just talking football, that's not really the best of guide points to really rate a footballer, because there's a million footballers, probably, with the greatest of respect to our boy, still an Arsenal lad. Arsenal reportedly interested in signing Sporting Lisbon defender Osman Diamande this summer. The Gunners are on the market for a new central defender to replace Rob Holding. They have been linked with a few names over the last few months, and Diamande is set to be the latest one to come out of the rumour mill. Portuguese outlet Record claims this week that Arsenal and Juventus both want Diamande, but there's some bad news for interested parties, probably pointing us towards the release clause. Again, obviously, Arsenal was scouting him initially. Sporting Lisbon won the race. It isn't too far-fetched, I guess, to believe that Arsenal is still monitoring his progress. But as you know, when they land at the Benficas, the Sporting Lisbons, the Dortmunds, them kind of clubs there, we all know they're going to one day be sold for profit, and in the medium term help Sporting Lisbon really and truly. We were linked with him when he was playing his trade in Denmark. People, they signed him, Sporting, that is, for 6.4 million. Obviously, they're going to want to triple that price, and with us being English, you're going to have to pay the English tax on that, which is probably going to see it being, I'd say, silly figure lightly, but a silly figure. We've been pointing towards his release clause of 69 million for someone that's made probably 15-20 appearances, I would say, for Sporting Lisbon since joining them. It would be a handsome profit, probably too far-fetched. He does have 4 years left on his deal, and the 19-year-old is going from strength to strength, and for me, he will play in the top 5 league before. We need centre-backs. I think Saliba's injury obviously crippled us last season, but I have always said I personally believe it just highlights our improvedness defensively, but at the same time our frailties. Now, I'm in the process of making another video in this regards, but if you look at it, for all that's being said, people, you look at last season, just quickly going off topic here. Obviously, we had 13 losses the season before the one that's just gone. We've got 6 losses. We've scored about just around 20 odd more goals. But when you look at clean sheets and goals conceded, this was last season, right? We scored 88 goals, we conceded 43, and we kept 14 clean sheets. Yeah? You go back the season prior, we've only kept 1 more clean sheet. We conceded 48. So again, regardless of who's injured and all of these things, we only conceded 7, if my maths is right, 7's a lie, probably 4 or 5 less goals. So there is many improvements we can make defensively. Signing players is one thing, changing our mentality defensively is another. Once again, we've been linked with Ruben Neves. Some outlets claim that he's just waiting on Barcelona to give him the green light to sign. You do hear that Xavi's not really keen on him, the board at Barcelona are, and obviously he's a client of the agent George Mendes, who's probably set for a busy summer. He's also got Ansu Fati and a number of players. George Mendes is trying to tempt Arsenal back into the race to sign Ruben Neves with a move to Barcelona now in serious doubt. I mean, Wolves fans, big up Wolves. They always have a running joke that every August in the last couple of years, he says bye. And then you see him rock up. I mean, in June, July, he says bye, May and that. And then he rocks up in August, people. That's according to The Sun, which notes that the Wolves star is growing frustrated with the lack of clarity over his future. It had appeared that Ruben Neves was set better yet destined for the Camp Nou. Reports from Sport recently suggest the Portuguese man had agreed a 4-year deal with Barcelona. However, the Sun is now suggesting that the switch, it may be unlikely. Barca do not want to pay 25 million for the 26-year-old, and with Ansu Fati not keen on joining Wolves in a swap, Mendes is being forced to try and take his client elsewhere. I think he'll get a move. Allegedly, Arsenal and Newcastle are being worked up by George Mendes to enter the race. Now, if we're unable to get the Caicedos, the Lavias, even though he's not directly like them, We have tried to sign him before. Maybe that's something we go over as well. For all the talk about Telemans, he signed for Aston Villa with the greatest of respect to them. So we weren't really that keen on him on a free transfer, was we? So we've been linked with Ruben Neves. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts. Would you take him? I don't think he'd be my first target, but I think he's got experience. Obviously, he's played in the Champions League with Porto at a young age. He's played in the Premier League. You know, I think he's got a good mentality, a good technical base, and I think he'd be a good option for the squad at 26 years of age as well. He'd have to stop being a celebration police. I'm sure some Arsenal fans can remember his conduct when we beat Wolves. Apparently, young Ethan Nwaneri, as again, it remains to be seen if he'll commit to a scholarship. Apparently, there's serious doubts over whether he'll sign a new contract. You know, despite still being a schoolboy and just recently completed his GCSEs, has played against Brentford, obviously trained with the first team, obviously played a key role in the FA Youth Cup. I believe by the time he's 18, he will be in Arsenal's first team. I'm not saying play week in, week out and things. I just think he's got the quality, really, whether he's at Arsenal or not. I couldn't begrudge him if he, you know, wanted to sign for another club, if he feels his pathways elsewhere. You know, would love him to stay at the club. If he doesn't want to stay, I've seen Thierry Henry leave this football club, really and truly, who is a young 16-year-old, as great as I think he is. And I think his mentality is spot on, but he has been linked with a move away. Yes, Arsenal could sign phenomenal midfielder as well as Rice and Caicedo this summer. What is all of this? Ben Jacobs has been speaking. Don't know if he's the most credible of journalists, but he said, you know, it's plausible to think Gundogan, Rice, and Caicedo could all rock up at the Emirates. It'd be lovely, but I can't see us getting all three, and I'm sure a lot of you can't. There was a big article about the Rice agreement, and they're also looking at Caicedo and Gundogan. The way I read it was like they're going for all three. Can you see that being plausible? I mean, in addition to Partey and Jorginho in the wings, it would give us strong depth in midfield. Obviously, you've got Odegaard, Vieira, Smith Rowe, all could play as 10s and 8s. I focus in more on the 8 because that's more where the pivot lies. Yes is the short answer. Arsenal will have a healthy budget, and a budget isn't as black and white as people think. When people hear Rice and guaranteed fee, it will be under 100 million. And then bonuses and add-ons as well will be pushing to 100 million. You hear Caicedo at 80 million, then it's 180 million, and you want X, Y, Z. It doesn't work like that because you don't know the payment terms, which is true. 100 million for Rice doesn't mean 100 million on the books up front. True. You don't know what the player commercially will bring to the club, to the clubs that he'll offset. There are all kinds of things that play into what you can spend, can and can't spend. That's why Chelsea have been able to spend 600 million. I mean, he hasn't really said anything there. That's a whole lot of saying stuff, but not necessarily anything. Arsenal will enter direct contact to reach final agreement at the Emirates in relation to Declan Rice. Dean Jones has said, yes, I think this week is crucial considering it's Wednesday. Now we need to get a move on. I think this week is crucial. This week things could happen with Arsenal to enter in direct contact with West Ham to try and reach final agreement. So my answer is yes, they want to get it done. I mean, nothing new there. We all know I'm skipping. I thought this was a Thomas Partey article. Nicolas Pepe has no future at Arsenal, and Mikel Arteta reportedly has no intention of reintegrating him back into the squad. As we already know, we're working on getting the 28-year-old off the books, whether that's ripping up his contract, whether that's getting a transfer fee, whether that's getting a loan fee and part of his wages paid up for the final year of his deal. So there isn't any news there. Check out the videos I've done previously. Arsenal renew interest in Caicedo as they target stunning double transfer swoop for Brighton star and Declan Rice. I mean, this is all the Arsenal transfer news seems to be focused on Declan Rice, Caicedo. You throw Cancelo and Gundogan into that. There are tentative links with other players here and there, which we have discussed and will discuss. Caicedo, we all know we tried to bring him in January. We all know he's got a gentleman's agreement to depart Brighton like McAllister this summer. Apparently, we're willing to match Brighton's 80 million asking price, but we're yet to launch a formal offer. Hopefully, once if Declan Rice is confirmed and completed, we switch our attentions to battling Chelsea, who I believe will win that race for Caicedo for his signature. Caicedo, is understood to be eager to join Arsenal as he wants to play in the Champions League. Arteta for now is focused on bringing Declan Rice. We're reaching an agreement there, people. Should both midfielders join the club, Thomas Partey could be allowed to leave. I think it would be suicide to let Partey leave. I think I would have loved to have brought in Rice and Caicedo and still kept Granit Xhaka and Partey. I think you need to keep Partey. In an ideal world, if you get Caicedo, Declan Rice, I think you need Thomas Partey. I actually think we need El Nene for the remaining year of his deal. We need depth, really and truly. As you know, the games come thick and fast. Apparently, 2 Italian clubs have expressed an interest in signing the 30-year-old Partey, whose birthday it was yesterday. He's contracted until 2025, so I think that's a situation to monitor closely. But I'd imagine at least for a year, Partey stays. Obviously, Granit Xhaka stayed, while him and Partey are not the same sort of player, maybe Partey could have been allowed to move on, people. But I think it would be silly to let him leave. He has been linked with a couple of moves, people. Apparently, Arsenal are open to selling him, really. I think it would be naive really to do such. People. It would be probably too much turnaround. He's got 2 years left on his deal. He's of interest from 2 Italian clubs. It doesn't say specifically the Italian clubs that are interested in the 30-year-old Ghana international. So again, you have to take things with a pinch of salt. And once again, this article is leveraging the fact that we're looking at Caicedo and Declan Rice. People. Apparently, Arsenal were disappointed with Thomas Partey during the end of season collapse. Let's not beat around the bush. Partey had a good season. You know, he had a good season, and by his own standards, obviously Partey falls into the Kirantini and Tomiyasu thing in that they're all good players, but the one thing you can say about them is you're never really confident that they'll be fit for the whole season. Injuries can happen to anyone at any point. But you know, Partey did fall off towards the end of the year, but who didn't? The whole club did. Not a single player didn't fall off towards how the season ended for Arsenal, really and truly. So I don't think that's fair. Obviously, people, you know, Partey, obviously, you know, we're going to have to look at replacing him at some point. Apparently, Arsenal were dismayed at the drop-off in Partey's form, and he could now be rendered surplus to requirements. What player didn't? And it would be silly. And even then, yes, you hold him accountable for falling off, but for the majority of the season, in his 30-odd appearances, he done well, really and truly. So I think that's a bit of was, if I'm honest with you. Arsenal are aiming to make 3 more summer signings once they wrap up a deal for Declan Rice. We're closing in on the West Ham midfielder, allegedly. The Guardian claims the North Londoners have almost agreed a fee with the Hammers, which is expected to be in the region of 100 million. I will be doing a video with a West Ham fan, which will come out today, Wednesday, people. So make sure your notification bell's on. And I've asked you lot on the community tab for any questions. So by the time this video comes out, if you have been able to watch it before I'm going to record, I think we're scheduled to do this video at 2. Let me know what you'd like me to ask people. We all know Nicolas Pepe is keeping it moving. Apparently, according to the Daily Express, one of the areas Arteta is keen to strengthen his fullback, with cover required on both flanks. João Cancelo, Ivan Fresneda, and Sasha Boy have all been linked to the North London club, while Timothy Cassandra is another potential target, people. And it's also said we're looking at bringing in a centre-back, which we need to do, people, really. We need to cover these areas. On the topic of fullbacks, Arsenal pull plug on Fresneda deal as new Cancelo deals emerge. Arsenal have called their interest in Real Valladolid defender Ivan Fresneda as they target a more experienced right-back. Again, we've been linked with Cassandra of Leicester and Manchester City's João Cancelo, people. I mean, I would prefer Fresneda. He is inexperienced. He played 40 odd times for Real Valladolid, but he would grow in our squad. He can play in that inverted role, and he's got a 20 million release clause, and I can't imagine his wages are going to be anything less next to João Cancelo. Of course, if we're targeting fighting for the Premier League and bringing home a major trophy, you kind of need some players that are kind of ready for that, which probably tends towards Cancelo a bit more. Obviously, Timothy Cassandra is a lot more experienced than Fresneda, but I've been watching Fresneda this season, and I'm enticed by bringing him to the club. Apparently, the 29-year-old João Cancelo has been told, which we already know, his time is up at the Etihad, and Manchester City's Pep Guardiola has no willingness to reintegrate him. We all know we're admirers of the Man City outclass. We all know he's missed out on the treble, although he's technically picked up a Premier League title, but he's picked up something, a league title at the Bundesliga club in Bayern Munich. It's believed Bayern Munich will not activate the buy clause. You can't rule out him going to Spain, in Barcelona, maybe even Real Madrid, with them needing a right-sided fullback. You can't rule out Bayern Munich getting him for a cut price, or maybe another loan, or maybe a fee that is a lot more affordable. I don't think Arsenal will get him. I'm typically pessimistic on all of these signings, but I'd hope to be proven wrong, really and truly. It'd be lovely for the club. Manchester United are apparently in the race for Moise Caicedo. They were linked with him when he signed for Brighton, actually, as well. And again, I think Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United, and Co could do a lot worse than bringing in the Ecuadorian international, people. Again, Brighton value Caicedo at over 70 million. You see 70 to 80 all the way to 100. So who knows on the fee? We have been linked with Arda Güler of Fenerbahce. Apparently, the 18-year-old will be available for a cut price, people. He'll be available for 15 million quid, 17.5 million euros, people. And he would be a steal. Don't quite compare him to the next Lionel Messi, but he's at home in the 10. He can play out wide. I think he'd need to improve a lot more physically if he was to play in the top 5 division and cut a future in the number 8 role. But we need to remember he's 18. He's still developing physically as well as experience. Charlie Hoffenden has said on Caicedo, he's currently with the Ecuadorian squad, relaxed and focused on international duty, as he knows Brighton will keep their promise. Arsenal still haven't bidded, but they will. It's just a matter of time. Chelsea also planning a proposal, but Brighton are yet to receive offers. That was a follow-up tweet where he said, people, he understands Arsenal will lodge a new bid for Caicedo, similar to the 75 million package that was rejected in January. Apparently, Brighton were not open open to selling him in the winter. They are a lot more flexible and open to letting him go this summer. Let's click on that article for what it's worth and see if we learn anything, people, which I don't imagine. We all know Nicolas Pepe and Cedric Suarez's days are numbered at the club and they're surplus to requirements. We all know Declan Rice were hopeful. We all know Granit Xhaka is waiting to complete his move to Bayern Leverkusen and has allegedly already said his goodbyes to his Arsenal teammates. Currently, apparently, Caicedo doesn't have a fixed preference on which club he wants to join this summer. Sources close to the player have told London World the Ecuadorian midfielder, who is valued at 75 million, will leave Brighton this summer after joining Arsenal. After joining Arsenal in the January transfer window. Caicedo wants Champions League football and is being targeted by both the Gunners and Chelsea. Neither side has yet to make a formal offer for the highly rated 21-year-old. I mean, everyone's in the know in it, so take it with a pinch of salt. Romano has said Arsenal fans can rest easy. My understanding for the moment is that Jorginho is happy at Arsenal and has good chances to stay at the club. I do think he'll depart next summer to go with El Nene and maybe Partey. I think we'll bring in another midfielder next summer. He's happy at Arsenal and has good chance of staying at this club, despite rumours about a reunion with Sarri at Lazio. Jorginho only just joined back in Jan and made an impressive start, even if he isn't likely to be much of a regular and focal point of the team as he was during his peak years at Chelsea. I personally, if he's presented with an offer to go back to Italy that he wants, fair enough. If Arsenal can make a quick profit, fair enough. But I think we need to keep the experience factor around with Jorginho, who's been there, done it, and wore the T-shirt. A source has told Chelsea journalists, I believe, who is this? Simon Phillips, that Arsenal have a bid ready for Caicedo, irrespective of the Rice deal. Sources also add that this is the strongest Arsenal have been financially. Hope so. DiMarzio has said Declan Rice and Caicedo will have a domino effect. If Rice goes to Arsenal, Caicedo goes to Chelsea or Bayern. These three clubs, Bayern, Arsenal and Chelsea, apply for Declan Rice. Caicedo will definitely leave Brighton. If Caicedo goes to Chelsea, Bayern can get Amrabat. These are, I think, the three midfielders who are eligible in the international transfer market for top clubs. Ben Jacobs has said Man City must also resolve the future of João Cancelo. Although Cancelo is open to staying at Bayern, the German champions won't pay the 70 million euro buy clause. Arsenal appreciate Cancelo too, and the feeling is he will leave Man City this summer. Caicedo doesn't have a fixed preference on the club he wants to join. People, we've seen that already. We'll be going over the same things at this point. Romano and Zubimendi has said another midfielder linked with Arsenal in recent times was Zubimendi, who is also appreciated by Barca. Xavi loves the player and he needs a replacement for Sergio Busquets, but it's not an easy deal because Zubimendi is happy at Sociedad and wants to play in the Champions League with them. Again, two clubs from Italy have been linked with Thomas Partey and more Caicedo news. We're going to keep going over the same things at that point, people. The expectation is that both Chelsea and Arsenal will try again for Caicedo, says Ben Jacobs, even though Brighton are just offering up a specific number. They rarely do. My understanding is going to take a starting point of 70 million guaranteed plus at least 10 million add-ons, but I don't think Caicedo, described as a revelation by Sky Sports pundit Jamie Redknapp, will end up being 100 million quid, people. So we'll have to see. Declan Rice has decided to stay in London and is set to join Arsenal. Bayern were ready to go all in for Rice if he had wanted to move to Bayern, as we've seen already. Again, we've seen that with Jorginho. In relation to Victor Roeg, it seems that he's going Barcelona. There's strong reports to going to Barcelona, people. I hope, has this been sharing with you guys? It actually hasn't. That's a bit of a clock block, really. What's going on here? I don't think this has been sharing with you lot. Apologies. I think there's a bit of technical difficulties. So I've just been speaking really for no reason. So yeah, I think you lot have been seeing the same sort of thing. But for what it's worth, people, we're going to have to keep going. And this is still going out. Again, I'm looking at goal.com. Juventus have been linked with Balogun, people. Apparently, we're set to win the race for Declan Rice. We're in the race for Elise of Crystal Palace. We're ready in a £35 million bid for João Cancelo. So we're going to have to read into that what we will, people. But at this point, it's the same old names being reiterated. Sorry for any technical difficulties and not being able to see everything on screen. I apologize. I'm going to get that fixed. This video still has to come out because I've wasted 19 minutes of my life with you lot, which is always a pleasure. Like the video. Hit the comment section, and yeah, man, I'll see you lot soon. One love.
I think